How's it going, guys? My name is Tavarish, and today is a very exciting day because finally I make my Aston Martin V8 Vantage faster and louder. So the day has finally arrived. That's right, I will actually modify my Aston Martin V8 Vantage, and it is a long time coming. Now, before I start with what I'm gonna modify and the procedure and all of that, I wanna take a moment to thank the sponsor of this video, Fabspeed Motorsport. And Fabspeed got in touch with me and basically sent me out this awesome box full of Aston Martin goodies. Now, Fabspeed makes a lot of high-end components for some high-end cars. I mean, my car is not really the highest of the end, but you know, whatever, who's counting? If you want to check out stuff for Porsches, stuff for Aston Martins, they do really good work. So link will be in the description below. What they sent me today was a X-pipe that would be basically, well, it's a part of the exhaust, and also some high flow catalytic converters. And what these pipes do is, actually, I think instead of me just walking around and showing you just nondescript angles of the car, I'm gonna put the car in the air and show you what these things actually do. So, and a 1 and a 2 and a... All right, that's better. Now that we have the car magically in the air and the lights set up and also the box open for the exhaust system, here's what the stock system does. So here are the exhaust manifolds. Rather, some people call them headers. I'm not actually sure what the difference between exhaust manifolds and headers are, but these are a 4-to-2 design. So these go from 4 cylinders, each cylinder has a port that goes into these 2 runners, and those 2 runners just basically go directly into this. This is the catalytic converter. This is one of the catalytic converters. These are the secondary or primary, I can't even remember. But all I know is that they are extremely restrictive because of their size. Look how big they are. Another reason why they're so restrictive is that, as you can see, the O2 sensor, there's one right here and one over here. What it does is the ECU takes the reading from here. That's the sort of uncatalyzed air. I don't know what the appropriate nomenclature or terminology for that is, but yeah, it basically takes this reading and then it takes that reading and then it compares them to see how well the catalytic converter is doing. From this design, you can already see a problem. It takes the reading from the middle of the catalytic converter, which means that everything past here is useless. Like there's no function or use for it at all as far as emissions, because as far as emissions, this is the only thing the car sees. Now, what Fabspeed have done, and some other companies, but Fabspeed in particular, they have made this, they just make it really small. They make it just the length of the, you know, this area, and they basically make it a lot more free-flowing. So it is a 200 cell cat. I think these are like 600 cell or 700 cell. I don't even know. But that is a 200 cell cat, and that is gonna go into a Fabspeed X pipe. Now, I'm not sure if this can be considered an X pipe, even though there is a connection here. It is pretty parallel the entire way. And the X pipe, what it does is it just connects the 2 flowing exhaust ports, and apparently it's supposed to make more power or change the exhaust note. And I think that's one of the really important things to take away from this, because the exhaust note on this car is already amazing. I'll let you listen to it when I first started it up this morning. So yeah, that sounds pretty awesome, but it gets a little bit better because when it's warmed up and you really get on it, it sounds awesome. So this is the exhaust. This is the sound of an Aston Martin V8 Vantage exhaust with the fuse pulled, of course. If you guys haven't seen that video, I pulled the fuse and I took out the active baffling. So it's basically a little bit louder when you're not on the throttle. But here's what it sounds like at a full bore standing start. Sounds great, don't it? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add to that sound. And the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna try to take off these really, really rusty hangers. Thank you very much, Doug, for driving over the Bonneville salt flats. That didn't do anything to the bottom of this car. We're gonna take off these bolts. I believe they're 13 millimeters, and they should be fairly simple to take off. I'm gonna use some PB Blaster penetrating oil. I don't have any WD-40, but I hear PB Blaster is okay. So I'm gonna take these off, and I'm gonna start disassembling this entire exhaust. So let's get to work.
Open eye, feel the waves cut through me, hypnotized by the sounds I'm breathing in. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you. Dripping lights paint the skies, only you can make me move. You can make me move. Can make me move. You can make me move. Can make me. So alive, make it last forever. Stop in time, yeah, I'm surrendering. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you. Dripping lights paint the skies, only you can make me move. You can make me move.
So now that we got everything off the car, we can examine the old versus the new. Now, for those of you who don't exactly know how an exhaust works, it just takes the spent gases from the engine in the exhaust stroke and it just whooshes them to the back of the car. Otherwise, cars would be really, really loud, and they'd also have all their exhaust gases coming from the engine directly, and that's not good. Another function, another very integral function of the exhaust is the catalytic converter. So this catalytic converter, it takes those gases and it makes them more palatable for the environment. Now it takes all those, it basically burns off some of the more noxious gases, the emissions, to make them more environmentally friendly. Now this is the old one, and right away you can see how big it is. And just like I mentioned before, the ECU only measures from here to here. So the air comes in here, measures it once, and the air basically goes through the catalytic converter and measures it right here. And this is all just sort of useless as far as the ECU is concerned. So you also can't, like, I'm looking straight at my light and I can see a very, very faint light at the end of the catalytic converter. So this is, I'm not sure if you can see this, but let's see if we can get this. No, can't really see much through there. It's pretty pitch black. But these are like 600 cell cats, I believe. And it's like a fine mesh inside there. And what that does is that heats up to a certain temperature, and there's a lot of precious metals in here. And those burn off those emissions and whatnot. If we look at the new one, first off, the design is it looks a lot more free flowing, and right away I can see way more light. Yeah, it's basically like turning on a flashlight. I'm not sure if you can see it here. Yeah, you can see, well, on the camera you can't really see much. You can see a little pinhole of light, but yeah, believe me when there's so, I can almost see right through. I can definitely see light and I can see color. So this is a 200 cell cat, and this works exactly the same as my old one. It's just that it allows way more flow to go through. And as we all know, flow is the thing you want in an exhaust. So the next part is this this H pipe or X pipe. I'm not sure what you'd call this. Now it's pretty parallel, but there's a little bung here, right here, and I think that's to equalize the pressures. I'm not quite sure what this is for. Maybe somebody that knows more about exhaust tuning can tell me what that's about. But as you can see, the Fabspeed one, is way, like the cross section of the X. It's much bigger, so you're gonna have a lot more sort of cross flow, and hopefully that should give an exhaust note unlike the one that I have stock. Even though I do like the one that I have stock, I think this will make it a little more growly, or who knows? I mean, it might not, but I think it will. So the only thing left to do now is put this new exhaust on, start the car, and see how many neighbors I can piss off at once. Okay, I did some work off camera because it's a little bit daunting to film and also have to sort of finagle everything around. Anybody that knows how to put an exhaust or has put an exhaust in the past will know that it's not like 100% fitment because cars have, you know, tolerances. These, you know, metal pipes, they move around when the heat cycles. So you have to sort of, you know, finagle them into place, but the fitment on this is actually very, very good. And it should be because it's, you know, Fabspeed is a reputable company. They do a lot of work for Porsche and Ferrari. But this is the finished product. I have everything installed. I don't foresee any major exhaust leaks. I know that everything here is sort of like a press fit. But yeah, I don't see anything that would stand out as egregious. One thing to note that if you're doing this, make sure that you get new hardware because sometimes, well, the Fabspeed kit that I got, it didn't come with new hardware, and I had to reuse some old hardware, and I just got some, I just got a cheap, you know, set of hardware from Harbor Freight, something that's like a grade 8 bolt should do fine. Something that is zinc plated or galvanized to make sure that it doesn't corrode. But other than that, it's a pretty straightforward install. It's 3 bolts right here, 3 bolts on each catalytic converter rather. So 3 and 3. They're not hard to get to, but it is a little bit finicky. Again, the form factor in this car is very, very tight. So any of you have seen my starter video will know that. This is a lot easier, thankfully, but yeah. So there's 3 and 3 there. There are bolts here that are for this coupler. This it's not a V-band clamp, but it's almost like a V-band clamp. And yeah, I just got new hardware here because this was so rusted that it just snapped right off. Then there's a clamp here for a section that I reused from my stock exhaust. This is a like sort of a connector piece. I'm not sure what it's, I don't know, I'm not sure why Aston Martin had this separate piece here, but maybe it's for install or something, I'm not sure. But, and there's 2 bolts, there's 2 15mm bolts on the back, and the rest are 13mm. Another thing to note is that the stock exhaust had a hanger, had a connection for a hanger up here, and this one does not. And I'm actually wondering if it even needs one, because the exhaust it's very, very rigid. And it was rigid when it was stock, so I'm not sure, it doesn't really move around a whole lot. This is a sports car after all, so the entire drivetrain is very rigid, and it's sort of, you know, it's all one piece, so I don't imagine it moving that much unless my motor mounts are shot, which they're not. So before we put this thing on the ground and turn it on for the very first time, I'm really excited about that. I wanted to tell you about how much this actually costs. So this combination, this Sport Cat, this 200 cell Sport Cat and X-Pipe combination, this would cost around $3,600 plus shipping. And I know that would be expensive for, let's say, like an Infiniti G35 or something like that. I don't know why I'm using that as an example, but just bear with me. This exhaust is on the expensive side, but if you look at an exhaust for a bespoke sports car or a supercar, a Lamborghini or something like that, this is super cheap. Like a Lamborghini exhaust, a Larini exhaust, or a Tubi exhaust for a Lamborghini, that's like $10,000 or $12,000. It's absolutely insane, and it's like just a back box. This is actual catalytic converters. They have a function other than just being tubes. It's all TIG welded. It's very, very well done, and it's all bolt-on. You don't have to do anything egregious. You don't have to do anything that would harm your car in any way. If you want to put it back to stock and you don't like the sound or you don't like the performance, I don't know why you would, you can always put your stock components back on. I don't think I'm going to be doing that though. So without further ado, I'm going to get this car on the ground and then we're going to start it up for the very first time. Now, know that it is a cold start. I'm not going to start revving it up like crazy. I'm going to do a cold start and then we're going to go for a little drive. Oh my God. Okay, so that was awesome. I really, really like the way that sounds. It was a little bit more bassy, a little bit more raughty, at least on the cold start. So now that we got this car up to operating temperature, let's take it for a little drive. There goes nothing. So this car is loud, just bone stock, but this kind of puts it on a different level altogether. Now I'm just going down my driveway and it seems fine. It's a little bit louder. There's a bass note coming from underneath here. It's very, very noticeable. I want to see what it's like when we get it up into the higher registers. Oh, wow. See, on YouTube videos, I always thought that the car would be like a little bit louder or just change the tone a little bit. Like this is a very big transformation for this car. Oh, wow. to get it onto a nice straight road where I can be a little exuberant. Oh my God! Holy crap! Oh my God! That is so much different than what I used to have. So right off the bat, at around 4,000 RPM, this thing just sounds like the gates of hell are opening. Ooh! So another byproduct of this mod is that since the exhaust is not restricted at all, well, less restricted than it would be, it gives you about 25 wheel horsepower on top of the 380. So this basically puts it at or around 400. It really feels like a different car. It really feels like it's just a little bit more poised. It's a little bit more performance oriented. Oh my. Oh. That is my new favorite thing. That. Hitting 4,000 RPMs and up in this Aston Martin is my new favorite thing. So it's one thing to just see me driving the car and you can hear what's inside the car, which is actually not much when you don't put your foot into it. However, when you're outside the car, that's when things turn a little bit more exciting. So I'm gonna show you what the difference is between stock and having this modified exhaust on an Aston Martin is. So check this out. It revs faster. Oh my God. Let's say I do a 4-to-3 downshift. Oh, that's so nice. That is so nice. It feels a little bit more crisp, maybe because there's less back pressure in the exhaust and it allows the exhaust to flow freer. Or it might just be in my head because the exhaust is so loud. But I think that there's a definite increase. There's a better throttle response and a better feel all around. So this mod gets 2 thumbs up. Well, I mean, I'd give you 4 thumbs up, but my legs are doing something. Anybody that has an Aston Martin owes it themselves to get this X-pipe and catalytic converters from Fabspeed, preferably. The link will be in the description below. Thank you very much, Fabspeed. But I'd like to talk to my viewers specifically. Thank you so much. You guys have been awesome. If you like what I do and want to support me, just give me a subscribe. I need to get that notification squad up, so you're gonna hit that little bell next to the subscribe button. That's always good. I'm gonna have more car stuff for you. In fact, next time, stay tuned, because that's when